Just a quick point on Shami when you said he was a little unlucky last time. You become unlucky when your length is a little shorter. Ishant Sharma is more lucky now these days because his length is a little fuller.
The World Test Championship final is upon us. India and New Zealand. So we will discuss something that is at the back of minds of cricket fans from both countries. Who has the stronger bowling attack going into this game? Now, given we're discussing bowlers, it's only right that we have none of them on this panel. Aakash Chopra is here, Sanjay Manjrekar, as well as the collective wisdom of Gaurav Sundararaman, Karthik Krishnaswamy and Varun Shetty, my dear colleagues at ESPNcricinfo. Let's go to Aakash Chopra first up for this. India, New Zealand. Aakash, we've seen what New Zealand are capable of the last few years. We know what their full-strength bowling attack could look like. Trent Boult is going to join them as well in England for the second test. And India's bowlers, we know now, are formidable. Who's got the edge?
Well, if you were to just look at the English conditions and if you assume that it's going to be a green top, a pitch that's going to assist fast bowlers a lot more than the spinners, you might start tilting in favor of New Zealand. But then if you look at variety and just the different dimensions to the bowling attack, you'll have to go with India because India's spin is definitely superior, far superior than whatever New Zealand can put on the ground.
Wow, okay. Sanjay?
So when you look at pure conditions, assuming that you'll get a pitch that will aid seam more than spin, and the kind of bowling that New Zealand have, it's typical swing bowling, barring somebody like a Wagner. They pitch the ball up, they get it to swing in the air, less of the pitch. People like Bolt and Saudi, Kyle Jamieson also can get the ball up. Whereas when you look at Indian seamers, there are more guys who seam the ball. If Mohammad Siraj plays, then you have the option of somebody who is a swing bowler. The others are mostly seam bowlers. So when you nitpick, you've got to say, looking at conditions, maybe New Zealand have the kind of style of seam bowling that might come good if a pitch is going to be aiding seam and swing.
Okay. KK, India's bowling better than anybody. How do they match up against New Zealand's?
Purely looking at the pace attack, I think India, over the last 2 years, they've been a very attacking team with their fast bowlers. So, if you look at the numbers over the last 2 years, I think India's fast bowlers have the best average overall and the best strike rate, but New Zealand's economy rate is the best of all teams, at least during this Test Championship cycle. And New Zealand, they use the short ball really well, especially Wagner, but the others too, like Saudi has a superb surprise bouncer, etc. So the one thing where New Zealand scores ahead is if the conditions demand, say, 4 fast bowlers. Those kind of conditions, they have a little more depth. Southampton, we've seen how spinners do come into the game in the second innings. If it plays like that, then I think India have it.
The thing is, what I've just realized is this is a one-off test, right? So if you're having this discussion for a one-off test, it's literally trying to predict who makes the 11 and in comparison then who is the stronger bowling lineup. So GS, looking at balances, you have to put the strong suit that's India's spinners in. And in that case, does that tilt it in favor of New Zealand, that they're the only team that's likely to play 4 fast bowlers in this game?
Yeah, but we don't know what the conditions are, right? So it could be that they would want to play Mitchell Santner also. You don't want to go into a match without a spinner as well. That's slightly a risk you're taking. If remember Southampton, when India went in England in 2018, there was so much favor for spinners. So it's very important that New Zealand don't jump the gun. And the other factors, New Zealand away from home, they're not really, like in Australia, their bowlers didn't really... A lot was spoken about New Zealand's bowling before that tour, but they really didn't perform as well as they have to. So, and they're coming to England after a very long time. They've shown glimpses of really good bowling performance in the first test, but we'll have to see if they can continue that. Whereas India, they showed what they're capable of in Australia and in England last time. So, as an attack overall, I would say India is slightly ahead there.
I suppose one of the parameters we use for both batters and bowlers, how they do abroad. And if you pick the numbers from, say, the start of 2018 or 2019, I think of the top 5 bowlers away from home, the top 3 are Indians. The biggest factor for India's dominance has been that they can now compete abroad with their fast bowlers. And not just compete, but clearly the numbers say that they've been doing much better than any other pace attack, both home and abroad. So I suppose that gives India the edge. Also, the fact that they can call upon spin, like Gaurav said, you don't know what the conditions may give you, and then suddenly on the fourth day it's a tight, lead, and Ashwin comes and runs over. So I don't see too many ways in which the New Zealand attack can edge over this Indian one.
This is not a 4-match series, so it's just a one match, and who bats first and what's the weather going to be like, all that counts. So if there is no hint of dryness in the pitch, and if the weather forecast which in England is pretty decent, accurate, it shows that there's not going to be too much of sun, who knows, India might be tempted to play 4 seamers, considering that Mohammad Siraj, the last time he played overseas, got a 5-wicket haul. When India went to New Zealand on their last trip, the pitches in New Zealand, what you get in England might be a little more similar. I think New Zealand was a little more challenging than what England is likely to be. And I found out, and India found out, that their style of bowling wasn't ideal. They didn't have an out-and-out swing bowler. Basically, I would want to have a swing bowler, pure swing bowler in the team, just in case. Swing is the way to go and not so much hit the deck.
Do they also have the edge, Aakash, because they're going to play 2 tests going into this? If this was a long series, would that have made for a different answer, looking at all bowling resources as against just who's going to be fit and ready and have a bigger impact in a one-off test?
It does make a difference. And one key difference here also is that the Duke's ball. When you talk about New Zealand, they play with the Kookaburra ball. So all the Kiwi bowlers are far better, adept at dealing with that ball as compared to Indians. We tend to struggle a lot more with the Kookaburra ball as compared to the Duke's ball. Duke's ball is very close to what we get in India, the SD Test ball. So that challenge is negated somewhat when you actually go to England and play. So in terms of discipline and just control, New Zealand scores. In terms of just the attacking ability, I think India will be there. And let's assume that the ball is going to turn a little bit.
Let's just wrap up with that one bowler that we're looking forward to seeing. Perhaps the one bowler that we predict would have the biggest impact in the World Test Championship final. Could be a bowler from either side, could be one each from either side. GS, you can go first.
I think it's going to be Ishant Sharma. He's never played a World Cup, and this is his World Cup, and maybe it's going to be his game.
That's very cute, I must say, GS. If he plays the 11, then yes. KK.
Tim Southee, I think he's never bowled as well as he is right now in his whole career, and he's looking in absolute peak form and fitness and everything. And also, like last time, Mohammad Shami in England, he kept beating the bat so much without having any luck, and maybe this is the time for that luck to change.
All right, Southee and Shami. Varun?
I was also going to say Southee, but let me just add Jameson to that as well. Clearly troubled the Indians when they went over there and hit his straps a little bit in the first test against England. Should be, fit and fully ready for that final when it comes along.
Okay. Aakash?
Well, let me just pick somebody else completely out of the box. Neil Wagner. Neil Wagner, 5-day test match. Eventually, you'll have a pitch that is not going to be assisting too much with regards to swing or seam. He actually exposed the chinks in India's batting armor quite a bit on the last tour. And those memories, they come back very strongly and very quickly to haunt you. And Mohammad Shami for India, it will be interesting to see how he hits his straps. If he does that, he's more than a handful on any surface. And if there is some assistance for the faster bowlers, Shami will be brilliant.
Mr. Manjrekar, please wind this up for us.
Yeah, 6 right-handers in the Indian batting lineup in the top 7, likely to be 6 right-handers. So I'm going with Karthik and picking Southee as the bowler who's likely to come out, with a better performance. Bowls the outswingers, gets it up there for batsmen to drive, and Indians like to hit on the up. And just a quick point on Shami when you said he was a little unlucky last time. You become unlucky when your length is a little shorter. Ishant Sharma is more lucky now these days because his length is a little fuller. So if India, bowl full length and bat well, and there's a good chance they might win this.
All right, now there's lucky Ishant. Imagine how. Thank you very much, Sanjay Manjrekar, Aakash Chopra, Varun Shetty, yes, and KK. Always a pleasure. Tell us your bowler to watch out for in the comments, and we'll be back soon with another edition of ESPN Cricinfo Runorder.